You're listening to Notch 6 at the LCCA National Convention from Boston, Massachusetts. You can find all the news and interviews from this convention at notch6.com. The following is a production of Notch 6 Media.
It's the Notch 6 online podcast, episode number 61. Night 5 at the LCCA convention in Boston, Massachusetts. Tonight we look at the outside perspective of Lionel. We're talking about what Lionel is doing to make itself known outside of the general hobby. You're going to hear from Mike Phillips, head of marketing for Lionel. Also, Al Colas and I have a really interesting discussion about the future of the hobby. It's all ahead on this episode of Notch 6.
This is the Notch 6 online podcast. Notch 6 is the podcast dedicated to O-gauge trains. Whether you're collecting, operating, or just getting started, Notch 6 is your home for O-gauge news, events, and interviews. Now here is your host, Derek Thomas.
Well, welcome into another episode of Notch 6 in Boston at the LCCA National Convention. Every episode of Notch 6 is brought to you by Trains.com. That's Trainz.com. Did you know that Trains offers over 2,000 items for sale at TrainsAuctions.com? A different scale up for auction every night. That's Trains Auctions, Trainz, and auctions with an S.com. Thanks to Trains for sponsoring the show and getting us out to Boston. Back for another night of fun and mayhem, as always. Al Colas. Al, how are you today?
Doing fantastic. A little bit tired. This is the first time I sat down probably in the last couple of days, and so it's kind of hitting me right now. But we're having a lot of fun. It's exciting. Members from all over the country continue to come into the Doubletree Hotel in Danvers, and Lionel is set up, and we've been running trains, playing trains, and just having a good time.
You know, that's something that's worth mentioning, that if you can't take the whole week to be here, and some people can't, you know, you can come in midweek, and there are a lot of members that do come in midweek, and really as long as you're here for the back half of the week, I think you still get the entire experience. I mean, the front half of the week, there are a lot of great tours, you know, that you don't want to miss, but like I said, it's not one of those situations where it's all or nothing.
Right, and we think that the big events are in the Thursday, Friday, Saturday events. That's where traditionally it has been, and we've kind of expanded it to the earlier in the week, just because our members wanted to see more. And it's impossible really to see everything and experience everything in the area. It's typical. We have more things to do than we actually have time for, and we have day and evening events, and our people go home. They're exhausted, but they're happy and safe. That's our main goal, is get them home happy and safe.
Yep.
So we do that.
And exhausted too. And you know what? There is a lot of running to be done here. If you want to run and run hard, and you can wear yourself out pretty easily. I mean, there really is enough to do. Or, you know, the flip side of that is if you want to do one thing a day and pretty much hang out and be on vacation, completely possible.
Exactly, and it's a choice, and that's what we did when we were younger. We take our family vacations, and we went on some tours, and other days we went to the local zoo. We did local attractions on our own. That's what we encourage. We encourage people to come in and experience the Boston area.
Yep, and our members are doing just that. Let's talk about what's on the docket today in terms of tours. What are our members up to? What are they out seeing and doing?
Sure, Derek. We have a couple ones, a couple tours. We have an American Revolution, where it all began. So they go to the Battle of Lexington, and so they learn more about Paul Revere and the different sites that occurred in our history and our infancy, our pre-revolutionary days. Then on a train-related note, we have a tour to the Seashore Trolley and Train Museum. So there's more trains, and so that's interesting. We're going to have a Get Acquainted party tonight, and that's a fun, casual, dancing, entertainment, social mixer kind of event. That's where people let their hair down. It's not as formal as a sit-down dinner type. It's a buffet food. And it's an opportunity for our members to sit down and socialize with other people. Angela Trotta-Thomas, she'll be coming in tonight, and she'll be conducting an art drawing class later on Friday afternoon, actually. One for the junior members and the children in attendance, and the other one's for the adults. and she's going to make a small painting during this class, and that's going to be auctioned off during our silent auction. So people will have an opportunity to win an original Angela Trotta Thomas painting.
There's actually going to be a couple of opportunities for that this weekend, because one of the things that's wrapping up here is the LCCA has been selling raffle tickets all year for the 45th anniversary painting, and it's reminiscent of the 54 catalog cover, and so that raffle comes to a conclusion on Saturday night, correct?
That's correct. During our banquet on Saturday night, we'll have we'll draw the winning ticket, and winners do not need I can't even talk. I'm too tired. They do not need to be present to win.
Right. So that's cool thinking that somebody's going to have that on their wall here before too long,
yes.
and that's a one-of-a-kind piece. So just another neat way the LCCA is celebrating 45 years of some really fun stuff.
And it's a benefit to our members. I mean, a lot of people may or may not be able to afford an original Angela Trotta Thomas painting, but here everybody has a chance. If you buy a $5 ticket, you have a chance, and that's what I think is important.
Yeah. Something I want to talk about today, and I think this is interesting, and you and I have been looking for different topics to talk about that would be of interest to the listeners. Something that I think is really interesting are the people that are not even associated with the convention that just happen to walk into this sea of trains and some of their reactions. Tell me some of the people that you've seen come through in terms of have nothing to do with this convention but suddenly are surrounded by Lionel trains. Tell me the reactions.
It's amazing, and there's no such thing as a typical reaction because it's so diverse in nature. This morning there were some people from Brazil that never even heard of Lionel trains and had a difficult time even communicating. But Bill Wanders of Lionel gave them the remote control, showed how to operate it, and their faces just lit up. And they couldn't even speak the language, but they could experience the pleasure and the enjoyment of operating a miniature world of Lionel trains. We have, I'd say, 3 generations of visitors. You get the gentleman that played with Lionel trains as a child, and they've been away from it. And it's, oh, Lionel's still making trains, and oh, this is cool. And back in their day, they had the transformer, and they talk about how heavy their trains were, and their die-cast metal. And here you show them a starter set that's just as heavy, high quality. It's and the sophistication and the technology and the advancements in the hobby, it's just mind-boggling to them. The legacy and the TMCC, and Lionel does a great job. No matter what your age is, they have the interactive approach. They want to put the remote control units or the transformers in their hands. Let them play with it. Let them experience it. They have a complete lineup from the Lion Chief remote control starter sets to the TMCC, all the way up to the legacy controllers. Now, sometimes people get in a little sticker shock when they hear the price of a nice legacy fully featured engine. But again, it's just the different market segments, and Lionel, I think, has that product lineup that's geared towards introducing Lionel trains to people. We have young kids that never even heard of it. Back in my day, at Christmas time, Lionel trains were the trains to have. And I think there's 2 generations of people that didn't have that experience. And so, Lionel and the LCCA is making a concerted effort to do that. That's why they spend the money to bring this module, their exhibit and layout set up. We're going to be in the Salem newspaper. We had an interview yesterday. We're going to be featured today. So we're getting the message out. That's our purpose, is to promote and foster an interest in Lionel trains. So we're taking that responsibility serious. We're introducing the hobby to people. It's, Lionel to us is just synonymous with trains. To a whole generation of people, it means nothing. And so it's like, wow, this is cool. And even there have been teenagers say, "Oh man, this isn't cool. This is kind of nerdly," and they like the technology. They like the legacy system. They like the the interactive electronic features of the thing. I'm more of a traditional ZW operator. Mike Reagan teases me about that all the time. You're not an operator, you know. I said, yes, I am. I still, you know, 2 wires, black and white, and I hook them up to the track and I run my trains. But that's okay. So, you know, whatever you're comfortable with is great. And a lot of times, it's the moms. In my opinion, it's the moms, the young moms make the decision about what the household purchases. You know, they play a key role in that. And if their children have an interest in trains, they will spend the money to support and develop their child's interests. And there's so many educational aspects to the hobby. It's, you know, it's electronics, it's creativity, it's building things with your hands, taking a concept in your mind, making it reality, creating your own little world. And there's something magical, and I think it's provides a great sense of personal growth when you do something like that. We've had numerous people. We have an Autism Awareness Day. So we've been working with the Autism Speaks organization here locally, and all day long we're inviting all the autistic children and their family to come in. That's something, again, there just seems like a nice fit. They really find the running of the trains very relaxing, very soothing, and very interesting for them. And the parents and the family get some sense of relief because they're involved, and the kids are immersed in almost in another world. And you know, so to me, that's what it's all about. That's why Lionel's here. We're here introducing Lionel trains, to reintroducing them to the people that grew up with it, introducing it to the next 2 generations.
The people that you see that have come in and seen the layouts that Lionel is handing over the remote controls, doesn't seem like, you know, and tell me what you're seeing, but it doesn't seem like there's that steep of a learning curve in terms of the general public can pick this stuff up and be off and running in a matter of seconds.
Oh, absolutely. It's so user-friendly. It's incredible. You know, like it's kind of typical where maybe the more mature people are a little bit hesitant when you first give them the remote, and say, oh, this is easy. You know, you can go forward, reverse, and the 3 different sound buttons on the Lion Chief sets. You know, so yeah, it's so intuitive. It's so easy that it takes that fear out of the equation very, very quickly. Kids are fearless. They'll go right to the legacy, and then boom, 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 and they're doing everything. So, and actually, a lot of time, you know, Lionel does a great job. There's a lot of our members and children, you know, hanging out at the layout, and we're utilizing them, and they'll demonstrate to the visitors. And so, you know, they're involved with the convention, they're involved with the hobby, and it makes them feel good, and then other kids can kind of relate to them in doing it. So
right.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, you make that remark about you know, some of the LCCA junior members being present on the floor around the layouts all day, and I've seen, I think it's Dennis's grandson and a few other junior members, and I like that idea of kids interacting with other kids, you know, promoting this hobby. And so these outside kids, you know, that's at least somebody who's in their demographic and their age group that understands this stuff and can show them the ropes. It's not it's not us older guys trying to teach them what to do. And so I think that's an important aspect of the LCCA.
Right. And I think that's what's important to our hobby, because people didn't grow up with Lionel trains. It's almost like you need to mentor somebody. And you know, I was mentored by different people in our organization. You know, Dennis has mentored his children. His children grew up going to the conventions. Then they got a life. You know, they became teenagers, got married. Now they have kids. Now they're coming back. And you know, maybe when they were teenagers, years, I got to celebrate my birthday here again or something. You know, and they come full circle. But I think the children that come in and help out, we have them participating in every aspect of our events. You know, they help out. Anderson Hitchcock is here, and he's helping man the booths and introducing people. People are working in the store. We have a junior membership activity where they're going to make Tyler Ballumet, who is on our junior membership committee, and his sister are going to be making trains out of lifesavers. So it's a kid activity. It's a freebie. You know, some kids just want to go there to eat the lifesavers, but they're going to make little steam locomotives out of lifesavers. So that's something we're really proud of, and it's it's just another good thing to do. It's that personal connection, that mentor, that relationship, that bond that is important.
You know, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I think it's an important time to talk about it, and that is the Lionel LCCA Junior Membership Program. There are some challenges facing this program, and we won't dive into exactly what all those challenges are. But let's talk about why this program is important to the LCCA and why this program needs to get a little bit more recognition than what it's gotten. Why are we pouring time and resources into this program, and why should the general public and the rest of the people in the O-Gauge hobby be supporting this program and getting kids involved in it?
You know, that's a good question, Derek. I hear it quite frequently. And, you know, I talk to a lot of our, what I call our core members, who are collectors and operators. And, you know, this junior membership program is not a takeaway. It's nothing that is in place of. Everything that we do is geared towards our regular members, our electronic members, our adult members. So it's not just because we're concentrating and making a concerted effort, it's not a takeaway from, and we're not an attempt to diminish the importance of our regular members. So please, as a regular member, you know, don't take offense to us. We have a publication called the Lion Cub. It's dedicated to the children of interest. One of the issues that we have is 0 to 18 is a wide age group. It's almost like two distinct marketplaces. So, you know, how do you make things that are interesting and exciting for children in the 4, 5, 6-year-old versus the teenager? And so that's why we try to maintain a balance in each publication, something geared towards the older teenagers, something geared towards the younger kids. But it is a wide age group. That's one unique challenge. I look at the hobby, and on a personal level, when I first got into the hobby, my son was 2 years old. Very energetic boy, you know, hands-on, and how can I say this? There have been, some people have been extremely accommodating and helpful and encouraging, and I was apprehensive about, you know, bringing a kid and putting him into the fishbowl where everybody looks at him. You know, if an adult drops a train, okay, no big deal, it might get a little bit upset. But if a kid drops a train, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. I think there's a double standard in people's assessment of and expectations of children. So on a personal level, I've experienced the hobby from a parent of a young child and a young son, and we meet great people. And people always talk about bringing people into the hobby. Because, I mean, everybody knows, you look at the demographics, our hobby is getting more mature. And if we don't take that responsibility and introduce people and provide that next generation of replacement people, our hobby will become extinct. And our club purpose is to promote and foster an interest in Lionel trains. It's something I take very serious. I think we need to make a concerted effort to make it happen and walk the talk. You can't just talk about it. We've taken the approach that we've reorganized our junior membership management structure. So we have a team of 6 people, 3 adults and 3 children. And I think it's important to have a child's perspective on what they like and what they don't like. And what we liked as kids, remaking that today, is not going to be successful with the kids of today. Kids are different. Kids are smarter. They're exposed to so much more at a younger age. You know, the iPhones at 2 years old. You know, it's just a different world, and we need to evolve and we need to adapt. I also think we need to align our expectations to this. I don't know about you, Derek, and I think we've talked about this where you may be the exception, but growing up, I would play with my trains. My dad would set up the trains in the basement around Christmas time. So maybe the month of December, maybe the month of January, we set them up on a table, we play with them, and then we put them away in a box. It wasn't a year-round activity for me. When spring came, we started playing baseball, football, you know, whatever the sports were. So we were introduced to it, we loved it, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this is going to be my lifelong ambition. And so I guess I don't expect junior members to come in, join as a 4-year-old, and then to continue on for 60 years in the club. I expect that people are going to come and go. Interests are going to change. They may not have a year-round interest. But on the flip side of it, there are those children that do have that year-long interest. And you see it. They contribute articles. They're frequent authors in our Lion Cub publication. They have the passion. That's going to be the future leadership of this club and hobby. And so we have a responsibility to develop that. There's 100% correlation between living and dying. We're all going to die, Derek.
Yeah.
And we can't debate that. So the easy course to take is do nothing. Anybody can do that. But you know what's inevitable. We are all going to die, and it will go away. But unless we plant the seed, we introduce people, we have realistic expectations, and I want to focus the effort on the family involvement. We need to get mom and dad's involvement, their support. There's so many educational aspects of it. I'd like to get involved with some STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math programs to introduce that to the hobby, to get the educational aspects out of it. There's so many ideas that I have that we can do moving forward, and this committee is going to be focusing on that. So I'm really excited about those changes. It's a challenge. I don't know if we'll be successful, but we are going to make the attempt to do it. It's difficult to justify on an ROI standpoint.
Let's talk about that, because I want to stop there for a second. So, and this is my own personal opinion, and yeah, for once I'm going to interject my 2 cents into the show because, well, the reality is it is my show and I can do what I want. I've heard the comments that the junior membership program is fiscally irresponsible in terms of, it doesn't. Yes, it generates revenue, but why not enough? And what frustrates me more than anything else, in my personal opinion, the junior membership program should be a break-even program in terms of the club shouldn't be making money off the junior membership. If anything, the general membership should fund more into the junior membership program, because what we're sitting here talking about is the fact that if we don't plant the seed with these kids, there's not going to be an LCCA in 15, 20 years. There's not going to be an annual convention. There's not going to be anything. And so, it's frustrating to hear these people that are so worried about, well, we're taking money from the general membership, to make this thing work. And that's not the case in terms of the general membership is not paying for the junior membership program right now. The junior membership program is self-sustaining, but if we took some money from the general membership and cranked it into the junior membership program, imagine how much more we could do. And it's the short-sightedness of certain people is just incredibly frustrating.
Yes, it is. It is. And I look at it as our junior membership program is not just an isolated, it's integrated into everything that we do. Every special event, every Lionel LCCA Fast Track Modular event. We have kids, family involvement. It's not separate. It's not 2 distinct organizations. We are one. And I think that is a key emphasis, that we have to have the parental involvement, especially, with child safety. We have to be extremely careful about, anything on the web and internet and access to that. You look at Russ Meyer and the Kids Run Train organization. They just exemplify what the hobby is all about, and we're doing things with those kinds of organizations. So there's really no cost to us and to any regular member. It's just opening the doors, partnering up with people that have that interest and that willingness and that common goal and agenda. That's what we want to do more of. It's not, okay, kiddies, you go off in your corner and you play. It's one club, one event. We have some activities targeted for them specifically, but we have other events that are targeted for the hardcore collector only.
Mike's just starting to slide and it's rubbing on your shirt. It's my fault, like I said. I will figure out these lapels by the next convention.
Yeah. No, and this is a good topic, Derek. It's something that we think about every day. We talk about this every day, and I feel that we have a strong responsibility to put something back into the system. It's the easy approach is to do nothing, and it's a road less traveled. It's a challenge.
We talk about these kids who are year-round hobbyists, which we are white unicorns, and I mean we are rare.
I mean, did you feel weird growing up, Derek?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Weird is an understatement. It is too. How do I put this? And I'm going to probably throw more personal into this than I should, but I was chastised for sticking with it through past an age where it was age appropriate.
Teenage years, you're saying? Yeah.
Absolutely. And these kids, the few of them that have made it a year-round hobby, as established hobbyists, we ought to be clinging on to these kids for dear life and making sure that they know that what they're doing is important, because the handful of kids that are sticking with it now and are sticking with it year-round and are willing to put up with the criticism, that's going to be your future leaders of this hobby.
Absolutely, and I'm so grateful for those children that have that passion and that interest. It's phenomenal. I meet people all over the country. I mean, there's not a city that I go to that we don't meet those types of children. And it's unfortunate that they may be ostracized. Is that something, though, like when you came to an LCCA convention, did you feel like, oh my God, there's people out there like me? You know, was it kind of a support mechanism?
Absolutely. It feels like home. You know, between the LCCA conventions in York, you know, it's the couple times a year that you can get together with the people that speak your language. You know, and it's okay.
Right.
You know,
and the technology's moving with it. You know, this podcast, the iPad applications, and Lionel's going to be developing product geared towards the younger kids and all the different things that they're doing. So they are trying to evolve and be more relevant and utilize the communications technologies that we have out there.
Yeah. I want to kind of wrap up this conversation with we're sitting here talking about getting, and this conversation has gone a completely different direction from what I intended to, but this is important. I'm glad we landed here today. Let's talk about, actually walking the talk. And there are a lot of people listening to this podcast who are LCCA members who aren't necessarily, here at the conventions, but there are a lot of people that have the ability to step up to the plate. I think one of the areas that I see that makes, making the junior membership program grow some serious legs and move from crawling to walking to running is just the lack of volunteers. People stepping up and getting involved, and not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to come out to a convention to help this program grow. I think we start in our backyards first. Let's do what we can in the backyards of America first in terms of getting kids involved and realizing that if it doesn't happen now, everybody sees the gap now, that there's this kind of lost generation between about 1975 and really the early 1990s of people that just weren't exposed to it. And probably even less now. I mean, and so unless we start pumping people into the funnel, or just even mild exposure to this stuff may plant a seed that comes back down the road. And for too many decades, there just wasn't even basic exposure. Right. And so just get out there, get involved, do something.
And Derek, that's something we find frequently. We get people that are willing to help out, willing to pitch in, and everybody's kind of afraid to take that big step and take that responsibility. But it's a personal level. If you can mentor somebody, I challenge everybody to mentor somebody, whether, we have a junior membership or we have gift programs. You can sponsor somebody. And if you can kind of take them under their wing, personalize it, and normalize it, it's something that we need to do more of. And it's not that difficult. It really isn't. I have nephews and nieces, and they're in their parents now, and they've never really grew up with the Lionel trains, and yet, I introduce their children to it. So all my gifts tend to be train related, and again, if they break it, it's no big deal. You want to teach them respect, but I like trains because I played with them. They were toys. I built things. I took cans of oatmeal and made farms out of it, shoe boxes, cut holes in them, and made tunnels and painted it and decorated it up. That's the kind of thing. Going around in a circle is not going to keep somebody's interest. Joshua Lionel Cowan knew that, literally 100 years ago.
Right.
Right. So that's nothing new, and it's just kind of developing that and updating it to the technology of the day.
Yep, absolutely. We'll wrap it up there for today. You've been listening to Al Colas. We'll be back with tonight's featured interview in just a second here on Notch 6.
The year is already half over. Time is running out to secure your one-of-a-kind Lionel dealer display posters from the Madison Poster Company. If you haven't already ordered one, please check out our website at madisonposter.com. These posters make a great addition to any train room or office. Act now and you will receive free shipping on all orders until August 7th. Enter keyword Boston at checkout. Again, that's madisonposter.com. Order yours today.
You're listening to Notch 6 at the LCCA National Convention from Boston, Massachusetts. You can find all the news and interviews from this convention at notch6.com.
Welcome back to Notch 6, our feature interview this evening. We're going to be talking with Mike Phillips, who's the head of marketing for Lionel. And the reason I wanted to interview Mike is want to talk about what the world of Lionel looks like outside of the seasoned enthusiast, and how Lionel is actively working to fill some different spaces that may not necessarily be the first things that you think about outside of toy trains. And so, Mike, it's good to have you here. We're happy to have you and looking forward to your insight here.
Derek, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here. It's always exciting. It's always fun to be a part of Notch 6. And love the station, love the podcast. It's always great. And enjoy what you do for the hobby. So thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to catching up.
Well, and I got to tell folks here, if you want somebody to thank for making Notch 6 happen the way it happens, Mike is the guy to thank, because Mike is kind of our gateway to all things Lionel. And so my thanks goes out to you for making your team as accessible as you do all the time. So thank you, and our listeners, thank you as well.
Of course, always. We love to be a part of it, and it's always fun. So we like to share that fun that we have, and we like to create those memories and create that magic and tell the world about it.
Yeah,
we love it as much as we hope our hobbyists do and new consumers do, so we like to make sure we share that. And
that's what we're going to talk about today. And you made a comment to me the other day when we were talking down in the lobby. Lionel has spent 115 years creating smiles. And what we want to kind of talk about is how do we take that out to the rest of the world. Just give me kind of a brief overview of some of the projects you guys are working on that is taking Lionel into spaces that aren't necessarily traditional spaces.
So we're actually doing a lot of different things. So one of the first things is that, we have to just increase our awareness with the next generation of consumers. So part of that is being front-facing. So if you look at things like Grand Central Terminal in New York City, we have an amazing display built by Roger Farkash with TW Design. Every year they set that up for us. And you get a couple 100,000 views and eyeballs in there. And it's just amazing seeing consumers come through. And it's really nice too. So now we have the product there as well. So that they're able to have that experience, kind of create that memory and start to say, okay, this is something I'd like to see, participate and do. They really start to see the world and they can create, as well as other places. So a more high traffic area that might be for more consumers is Macy's. So on top of just selling product, we're starting to get more of an expanded footprint. So Macy's this past year started putting in some of the Lionel towers. We have our new Line Chief ready to run sets, so consumers can come in. It's not just pushing the button and activating the display, it's holding the remotes. It's driving the train, controlling the terrain, the horn, the bell, the announcements. It's really having that connection to being in charge. They're the engineer, and when kids kind of have that moment, I think parents and or grandparents start to say, okay, that's a tradition and a memory that I remember having. And I remember being a kid under the tree and setting up my train. And so now it's really our chance to start to help provide that experience and that memory to the next generation. And really we have to do that by physically putting the product in kids' hands. So it's, it's larger awareness at places like Macy's, at Grand Central. It's also, we're always excited about events like World's Greatest Hobby. They bring in such a large foot traffic every weekend, up to 30,000 consumers, and it tends to be young families. So it's really consumers or individuals who are newer to the hobby, or they might have had a set with their grandfather, or their parents had a set. But what's really nice is they have a lot of young kids, and if you come to the Lionel booth, it's all about play. It used to be kind of a world of look but don't touch, and now it's all about play. It's really fun. Kids come up. We have little tables that are about 2.5 feet tall, and they just come up and just start driving Thomas the Train, Polar Express. Those are those things that from 40 yards away, kids connect. They have that special connection with Thomas that we just can't create on our own. So we're really connecting to that next generation as well through licensed products. So kind of leveraging the power of those brands that speak to kids in such a large way, and then connecting that with the Lionel brand in the Circle L to allow them to embrace us and that additional property that they love, whether it be Thomas, whether it be Polar, DC Comics. Last year we were really excited. There's a lot of us at the office that love Batman. So of course we launched a new Batman train set. Truly loved it. It was probably one of our most talked about sets internally because everybody becomes the designer. Everybody has input on it because everybody loved it since they were kids. So it's fun, we kind of get to do those things. And really those were a great opportunity for us to learn what we do on the car side of the business and leverage that in the train side. So it's kind of ability to put a decal on the train versus just tampoing it. So it's opening up new production opportunities that allow us to create the best possible products for these new consumers in the new areas. So also Lionel was at Comic-Con. Not a place that we traditionally were.
No,
so
not at all.
Really cool. You see Chewbacca, and then down the street is the Lionel train set. And you've got Batman over there. You got our 2-pack with Joker and Two-Face. So it's really pretty cool. So venturing out into some of these new territories. Another strong one that we talked about licenses, John Deere. John Deere was a huge one for us. We've been really excited with that. What's really nice is that John Deere fans are the most passionate consumers as well. And it's a very historic legacy brand, just like Lionel. It was almost just a perfect happy marriage of two really powerful brands together to kind of deliver that just iconic product that those consumers love green and yellow so much. They eat, sleep, and breathe it, and now they really get to do it as well with our blue and orange and kind of connect into Lionel. And so, it's opening up these additional fan base. And so as they start to get the John Deere train, then it really allows them to then start to expand into the Lionel world. In the past 2 years, what we've started to try to do more and more is help explain the roadmap of not just buy a product and stop. We want you to continue to grow in the hobby. And we want to make that as the brand as easy as possible for you to do that. So if you look at our catalogs, it's all about different layouts. And it's not just showing you how to build a 4x8 layout, it's basically the recipe. So it's kind of like if you were to go onto Pinterest and you download a recipe, it's all the ingredients. We tell you exactly the number of pieces, which piece it is, and what's the item number for each piece to make it as seamless and as easy as possible for you to kind of be able to replicate that. It's oftentimes that you see today's market and today's economy, and with TV shows, it's all about DIY. And what's so nice about those shows is they really show you how to do it and you feel confident with doing it. So if you look at what we show now, we really show you how to build the layout and what's involved and what's needed, so consumers feel a lot more confident that when they leave the store, they have the right items to create that same version of a layout. And then it's really great is that you hear different ones come back, and we see pictures on social media through, some people create a Western scene. Other people create outer space. I've seen some really cool ones. Others create, kind of their hometown. They create that, the corner bank that they grew up in, their dad's office in a store. So it's really nice to see the way people bring it to life, and we try to bring it in for new consumers, really as seamless and easy as possible to help make that happen.
Something I'm curious about when we talk about initiatives like WGH, World's Greatest Hobby, when you guys are interacting with so many young families on a weekend basis, when these younger families who are in, most of them are in their 30s, maybe early 40s, is there that brand recognition there with Lionel? Because, you hear people talk about, our age group kind of being the lost generations. Do these parents recognize Lionel? Do they understand, that the longevity that Lionel has had, or do they just see a train set? Is there that recognition?
I think you get a pretty fair mix of both. You definitely have the parents that come through who grew up with it from their dad or their grandfather. And, and it's almost, you see them, and it's really nice because they start to share that memory and that experience and that, that they had growing up, and that they're excited because they get to kind of pass it down to their son or daughter through World's Greatest Hobby, because then they start to see it, and it's like, wow, and you see them have that moment of like, wow, I'd like to do that for my son or daughter, and let's, how do we make that happen? And then you have others that, really are not familiar with Lionel. They just know that it seems like a fun outlet for kids to really be able to have hands-on. One really nice thing about trains is that kids today are so tied up with digital devices and phones and headphones and all their sports. It's a really nice chance for parents to feel good about a product that they're allowing kids to own it self-expression, its touch, its feel. It truly puts them in control of creating that environment in that world. And, there's not that many products that are out there anymore that really allow you to be in that much control and allows a parent to feel that confident that if they are buying a brand, it's such a powerful brand. They feel strongly about it. That either they had family members, or if they don't have connections with it, they ask anybody or they go online, and there's such positive feedback from other true passionate fans today that they feel really good about buying the product. So it truly is a pretty solid mix of both. And it's nice for us because during the day, whichever one you get to talk to, it's so different, and everybody has a fun story to tell. And the ones that are not, they're hooked to it because their son or daughter sees Thomas, or their son or daughter sees Polar or Frosty the Snowman. So they connect in a whole different way. And that's really a big reason why we start to have such a big focus on licensed products as well.
Right. To those kids don't care who made it. All the kids care about is that it's fun and it's something that they're enjoying, playing with. That brand recognition for them, comes later down the road when they realize, oh, wait a second, this thing that I've been playing with for years is made by so-and-so, and they make products that I like. The goal is to obviously first put out a product that kids love to play with and that adults love to play with as well. But the flip side of that again too, like what you're talking about, parents can feel good about picking up a Lionel set because it opens up a world of possibilities that a lot of other toys on the market do not.
That's right. We're excited. We really have seen those changes in our booth, not only at World's Greatest Hobby, but at other shows. We're really always challenging ourselves to kind of be like, what's next? How can we improve upon what we've done, and how can we make it better in the sense of connecting with the next generation of consumers? What's the right offering? What's the right product to bring? To make sure that every event really has a different look, a different feel, and that we're speaking to the right consumer. So it's nice. It's an exciting time here. It's a really fun time to continue to challenge ourselves and never kind of settle.
Right. Talking about licensed products a little bit more, I'm curious, when you approach some of these bigger names, you guys have worked with Coca-Cola, John Deere, Crayola. I mean, the list of licensed products, Warner Brothers with the Polar Express. What kind of reaction do you get from licensees when they say, hey, we love what you do. We think your product is a great fit for our train sets. Are they pretty receptive to that?
They are. What's really nice is that the Circle L carries a lot of weight. It's very powerful. And oftentimes, whether it's the licensing agent at the time or somebody in their department comes back and they hear, you're talking to Lionel, and it kind of opens these doors to other people then joining calls and really kind of making that connection. So they get as excited about it as we are, and they really start to see the opportunities and the way that we can bring their products and their brand to life. And what's really nice, too, is that a lot of the licensing partnerships that we have now, they no longer really see it as a one-way street. They're just as excited not only about our product, they don't want to sit back and collect a check, they want to help tell their consumers about what we make. So if you go on DC Comics, Batman has 13 million on their Facebook. They share our pictures about our train set. So it's really nice that really getting the right relationship and having the power of the brand and having the right product gets them excited and in charge about sharing it and connecting with it and getting it in front of their consumers. So as we kind of look at different licenses as we grow, we always want to test the waters. Some we look at as potentially short-term in and outs. Some might be just like a boxcar or a certain series. Others you really think like are the longevity of something like Polar Express. Mm-hmm. It's been over 10 years that Lionel's been doing it, and it's such a strong property, and it's such a great fit. I wish there was more of those. It's hard to find those, but we really love it. It's always a great chance for us to work with them and for really to help us get into that next consumer.
You say Polar Express, and that takes me to the next area that I want to really talk about with you. And this is something where you guys have really come on strong the past 24 months, and that is the Christmas space. And Lionel has always said that Lionel is synonymous with Christmas, and that's the honest God truth, that it's not Christmas without a Lionel train running around the tree. But you guys have really leveled up on this, and suddenly we're seeing this entire line of branded Lionel products come out that for a guy like me who's a hardcore enthusiast, and for a lot of the guys that are here at the convention, this is like, oh my gosh, I have something else that I can buy now that's not a train. And you guys have obviously got to see the value in that space. Tell me what's driving this Christmas initiative, and where do you guys want to go with that?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, it's always exciting. Lionel is synonymous with Christmas, and it really has been for 115 years. And what we like to say around the building is that Christmas is not complete until your Lionel train is set up under the tree. That's kind of really the culmination for every family of where we like to see it as, you set the tree, you set the ornaments, you start to set the tree skirt. Well, the train is kind of really the completion of that. So a couple years ago during those discussions, we shouldn't just end at the train. We should really be the ornaments on the tree. We should be the tree skirt. We should be the items on the walls, really the whole magic, the whole environment, the whole experience that you have with Christmas. Let's help consumers take that passion to the next level. And we've been able to use a lot of great historic art. We've designed some new items, as well as work with artists in the industry like Angela Trotta-Thomas. She's amazing. She does phenomenal artwork. Everything she does, she touches for us is it's just magic. You just feel that Christmas connection in what she draws and what she paints and what she brings to life. So for us, that's a lot of the really good pieces we use on some of those ornaments, on some of the tree skirts, yard flags, a lot of different pieces. We've also taken some of our licensed products that used to just be trains, so Polar Express tree skirts, Christmas stockings, ornament hangers, stocking hangers on the mantle. So really kind of opening up that, really not only creating the product, just like Harley Davidson, really creating that whole world, allowing consumers to embrace you wherever they are, wherever they're at in their life, to kind of connect with Lionel, show that badge of honor, show that pride, and introduce it to their friends, their family, whether it be through the train, through the love of the ornaments, through the wall hangings, or through the art from Angela. So lots of different ways that we can help consumers connect with the brand and help bring the magic of Lionel to life.
With the licensed products such as the Christmas items, are you guys seeing non-traditional hobbyists start picking these up because they know Lionel is synonymous with Christmas, but they're not, convinced that they want to make an investment in a starter set yet? Are those folks picking up these items just because it's an easier way in?
We have definitely seen a lot of people start to embrace the brand through the Holiday Memories line. So being able to come in and buy ornaments, I think the magic of trains is universal. And whether they come into the product line through a physical train set or through an ornament that has some of the trains going around it, or historic train art, or catalog art, or items from Angela, different pieces, and it allows them to enter through a different price point. They can come in and buy some ornaments to really kind of say, wow, I know Lionel is, has always been about trains, and my grandfather, and they're not quite there yet for the train set, but they really want to show that Lionel. And it kind of gives them, it's one of the excitements of Christmas is when you're hanging ornaments, it always ties to a memory. And, you always kind of have that of where we bought it. What is it tied to? Was it a trip to a certain vacation destination? Or was it the birth of a first child? Or a first home? Those types of memories. What's really nice is, we've heard some of our consumers talk about when they're putting their Lionel train ornaments up, they kind of re-experience whether it was as a child putting up their train set with family members, or even part of the process now. When they hang the ornament at the same time, they like to then pull the trains out and set those up. It's kind of part of the overall experience to really link that memory and that magic together. So we've definitely seen some new consumers kind of come in through that channel and really kind of just continue to open up the awareness that Lionel is still around. So it's awareness and is always a big key for us. So introducing ourselves to new consumers is a great way to do it through the Christmas space.
And all of this really does make natural sense. Just talking about the Christmas space, and while you were saying that, I was sitting there thinking about the Hallmark line of ornaments, which is we're getting pretty close to the 20-year mark on that series. I think 97 was the first year.
Next year will be 20 years.
That's pretty crazy, because how many keepsake lines have run that long? You guys are approaching some milestones in that line that not a lot of companies reach.
They are a wonderful partner. The team at Hallmark is great. The product that they create with the ornaments, the different keepsakes, some of the unique collectibles, their Christmas in July is actually about to kick off pretty soon. So I know my wife is always one of the ones to kind of go out there and be one of the ones to buy those. But the ornaments that they make are just beautiful pieces. They're great replications of different items that we've made from the past. They've really brought a lot of really key pieces in the Lionel product line to light through ornaments that have allowed consumers to collect them. And what's nice to hear from them is that we always tend to be one of the top sellers for them across all the brands and all the products that they have. So it's really nice to be in that place, and so it kind of just reiterates the fact that we are synonymous with Christmas. And for Hallmark, it carries through as well, that you kind of go through that. So we love to see those ornaments. We love to see those pieces. And we're really excited about the 20th. We got some cool ornaments coming up and some fun items planned, working with their team coming up for 16 and 17.
That'll work. We're going to leave it there for this afternoon. Mike Phillips actively working to get the message of the Lionel Circle L out to the rest of the world. Mike, thanks for the time. It's always good to have you here.
Derek, thanks for having me, and I really appreciate it.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Notch 6. I hope you guys understand why we do episodes like this from time to time, where it's not just about, what's new in our trains, but really want to bring some attention to what's going on inside of the hobby and what we need to be working on to continue to expand the hobby. Because personal opinion, unless we start reaching out and touching folks at a younger age, there's not going to be a hobby in 15 or 20 years. And not to say that it'll completely be gone, but it definitely won't be the days of big conventions and big train meets and things like that. And so just encourage you guys to step out on a limb and do what you can to get new folks involved in the hobby. I'll get off my soapbox for now. You don't want to miss tomorrow's show. It's Friday at the LCCA convention, which means the Lionel seminar, which means President of Lionel, Howard Hitchcock, will be back with us for tomorrow. And we've got some exciting things to talk about. Do not miss tomorrow night's episode of Notch 6. Might be up a little sooner rather than later, but definitely by 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, the episode will be up. We will break some news tomorrow that you are going to hear first from us. And so a lot of good things here tomorrow on Notch 6. Thanks for listening, folks, and until tomorrow, keep it in Notch 6.
Thanks for listening to Notch 6, the only podcast dedicated to O-gauge trains. You can find every episode on our website, notch6.com, or on iTunes and Stitcher. We'll see you again soon. Until then, be sure to keep it in Notch 6. The following has been a production of Notch 6 Media and is intended for private use only. This show may not be copied or redistributed without express written consent. This show copyright 2015, all rights reserved.